Hey everyone, and welcome to another spooky edition of the Criterion Connection, where it's Halloween month, so we gotta keep on going spookiness. Last week we did Cat People. This week we're doing Lars von Trier's.
Lars von Trier.
Sorry, Lars von Trier.
I mean, you got his name wrong. You should at least respect the man enough to get his name right.
It's called Antichrist.
Yep.
With Willem Dafoe and. I can't pronounce her name because she has a really long name. But she's great. I should know her name. And that's it. That's the whole cast.
And the kid.
Oh, and the kid, and the fox. And yep, that was the movie. And I don't know how to begin this one.
Well, we can start with the plot. So, the movie follows Willem Dafoe and his wife. I believe the actress's name is Claire. They're credited as he and she in the movie because they never say their names. And they are in the throes of romance in the very beginning. They have a small, young, toddler who gets out of his crib. And it's all in slow motion, and you kind of know where this is going.
Yeah.
You know, the window opens.
The kid climbs
up.
He
climbs out of the crib. He opens the baby gate. And, of course, we pick it up right after there. That's the prologue.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie is them dealing with the grief. And we find out that he is a psychotherapist.
Yeah, so he's dealing with it a different way. He's dealing very calmly and
logically. So he... It's... I think it's really interesting that they have this dynamic between the two characters, him and her. Especially with him being a psychotherapist. And it's pointed out very early on that she says, you've never really been interested in me until you wanted to study me, until I became your patient. And it's a really weird power dynamic with that, because he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. Because the doctor, she faints during the funeral.
Yeah.
And I guess hits her head on the pavement. And turns out her brain isn't, reacting right. And so the doctor is trying to figure out what's going on, gives her medicine and all that. And Willem Dafoe's character thinks he knows more. And so he basically tells him to cut off the meds. And then he checks her out of the hospital. And then he does, exposure therapy, thinking she's afraid of the woods and trying to help her work through all this stuff. And things just keep escalating. It's one of those, slow burn horror movies.
Yeah, and you're like...
Because you're watching it and you're like, this isn't a horror movie. This really isn't a horror movie. And then things start happening about, halfway through that start really getting a little off the rails.
Yeah.
There's a lot of graphic stuff.
I was not expecting that much graphic stuff.
Yeah.
I heard there was a lot of penis. Well, the faux penis and butt. That's all I've heard. I didn't know it was going to be as extreme with the violence. It's subtle violence. It's not like gore.
Yeah, that's what's crazy is that this movie, it gets lumped in with a lot of the torture porn genre horror films.
Yeah. I don't think it's stuff there with the Hostel.
No, it's not as gory as people want to believe it is. It's one of those kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre where the few things that you do see, it's really extreme. And it makes you think it's worse than it actually is.
There's a total of 3 things that are extreme.
Yeah, and there's certain things that you see, you can see any time in a nature documentary. With the animals that show up. And, people with uneasy stomachs probably aren't going to be able to take that stuff along with some of the small bits of extreme violence that happen.
The person I was watching it with, she was like, this movie is not vegan. This movie is not vegan. And I told Diane, I was like, you're definitely right. It is not vegan at all. And, yeah, and the graphic stuff is I covered my eyes on 2 of them because it's like I know this is going on. I don't really see the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a wuss on Halloween month. Yeah, and it just gets crazy. There's talking animals, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Chaos Rage.
It's just kind of a descent into madness in a way.
Yeah.
So instead of him treating her, he starts, I think, understanding that he's out of his depth.
Yeah. So maybe I should have kept her on the meds.
Yeah, there's a lot of, man, I probably should have tackled this problem a slightly different bit. Huh?
Yeah.
But
when he realizes about the kid, and I think that's where everything starts escalating.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is laid out in the beginning, like how she talks about how he isn't interested until she becomes his patient, that he's been a distant husband and father, that he didn't notice that she was putting the shoes on the kid with the wrong feet on purpose. And she doesn't think it's on purpose, but it has been on purpose. A, I guess to inflict pain on the child. B, to see if he will even notice.
Yeah.
That she is going crazy.
And he didn't notice.
Yeah, and it delves into so many different kind of avenues that you can like interpret the movie. It's a really cool movie.
There's a lot of
for the very extreme stuff that's in it.
Most about mental illness, but there's also stuff like about paganism. There's stuff about
religion.
A lot of things like that.
The nature of
Eden is definitely a biblical reference.
The nature of good and evil, it's a lot of really interesting thoughts, and it really does come out in the film.
Lots of sex in this too.
Yeah, I mean it's
lots of sex. You're like, why are you doing it in the woods?
It's like a big like.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton, but I've from what I understand, like it's a big pagan thing for rituals. It's also one of the very primal things that people do because we're
humans.
Yeah, we're humans, and most living things have this kind of incessant need to propagate.
And deals with the Three Beggars, which is a rough Russian folklore. So that's a thing.
It's an interesting interpretation of the folk tale.
I just remember about the calling bird in the hole.
Yeah,
that was definitely not vegan. Just beat it over the head with a rock. Jesus, guy.
Yeah, but like having those animals and the symbols that they represent, and then you have the constellations where it ties in later, like how one is pain, one's grief, and one's despair.
Yeah.
Which is the crow. The crow is despair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really good film.
I do like the little kindergartner part 1 or chapter 1. I like
where he was writing on the chalkboard. Yeah,
I
cool.
like the beginning of the movie where it just says Lars von Trier, just right there, and you're like, I wonder what movie this is.
This is the first Lars von Trier movie I've seen, because I've wanted to see Breaking the Waves and
same here. It's the one I've seen too.
Want to check out Nymphomaniac and some of the other stuff he's done. But this, I mean, it's a bit of a first dive into the Lars von Trier catalog.
The first half is very slow. The second half, once you get to I'd say when he sees the fox, I feel like that's where the movie really gets crazy.
Yeah, and
the grinding wheel.
Yeah,
which was almost comical at times.
It can be.
When she was hold me, and then he moves over, and you hear the grinding wheel thud on the ground. It's kind of funny at times.
And it's just it's small things like that make it seem worse. Like there's a ton of violence in the movie, but it's only 2 or 3 parts.
Yeah.
You can close your eyes if you want to skip that.
It's very quick. The shots are very quick. The scissors, that's quick.
That's a really quick one. But the movie's really good. The writing is really good.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I didn't know Lars von Trier, when you expect, when you see a foreign director write in, I guess, a language that isn't quite their native language, because I'm assuming he's, he doesn't speak English as a native tongue. Like it's just a second language he's picked up over the years.
Yeah.
His writing was really great, and it was really poetic a lot.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. I can't say it enough.
Yeah. So 500 skip, Joe.
This is gonna be a rent, just because.
It's on Filmstruck.
It's a lot of it. I don't think it'll be a movie people want to watch over and over again. I think it's gonna really weed out its crowd.
I've probably never watched this movie ever again. I'm not gonna say ever.
I think I'm probably gonna watch it again to try and get more of the meaning out of it.
Let's just say this: when I'm doing the 31 days of movies, and I was like, I'm watching Antichrist, but it's not gonna be the last movie I'll watch tonight because I feel like I cannot go to bed after watching that. I'd be like,
it's a really effective horror movie, as you can see.
Sleeping next to my girlfriend, my eyes would be like, what are you doing with that grinding wheel?
But I think it's I don't think The Rent is really representative of the quality of the movie.
Yeah.
I think the quality of the movie is great.
It's acquired. It's like,
but it's something
it's like, are you in the mood to watch this?
It's not even a mood thing. It's, do you want to put your toe in that pool, or are you gonna dive head first like we did? So it's one of those things. It's where you have to kind of know what you're about to get into. I feel. Otherwise, I think most people have an adverse reaction. If you kind of know what's coming ahead of time, like I was already told about some of the extreme scenes in it years ago.
I wasn't.
Wade wasn't. So he had a different reaction than I did. But yeah, it's one of those things I think people should know a little bit ahead of time, and then check it out, see if you like it or not. But all in all, I think it's a great film.
I'd say Rent. I enjoyed the film more than I thought I was going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I was dreading it. But, I was like, this is...
It was one that you always...
bad. I feel like the hype made it more dreadful. But actually watching the movie, it's like, this wasn't...
it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Yeah, well, I wasn't as weird as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Everyone's like, Antichrist is so weird. And I'm like... I mean, it kind of all made sense to me. It wasn't that weird. But
it's something that's up for interpretation a lot.
Now, if you put aliens in there, then it's a little weird. But
it's not terribly difficult or dense.
Yeah.
But it's enough to enjoy. I remember this is one of the ones that you wanted to put off as long as you could.
And we got so many suggestions. Suggestions.
You got a bunch of fan suggestions, which is why we did it.
Yeah.
But
and also we want to have a little variety because last week we did like a 40s horror movie.
This wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. Though.
And Val Newton, his
the cat people.
Yeah, his style of movies, which is not Universal. Apparently, he's very specific. He doesn't want to be like Universal. That's his thing, apparently. But anyway, this movie is definitely an art house kind of psychological horror. Drama movie.
I feel like there's other Lars von Trier movies that are more readily accessible. That I haven't seen, but I've heard about like Dogville, and there's a lot of people like Melancholia. I think it was his, and Breaking the Waves is one that both of us want to watch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that's 2 Rents. You can watch it on Filmstruck. It was they had subtitles on it, so it was nice. So apparently you can also do. I didn't actually see the feature, but like on a little bar, it has like a director's commentary.
Yeah,
I would actually want to listen to that.
Yeah,
maybe I'll watch it again just for the director's commentary.
You don't have to deal with the sounds and stuff.
Yeah, except for Chaos Reigns. That was the most metal thing I have heard in a long time. that was definitely my favorite scene in the entire movie. Was when the Fox said that. Like, yeah. What do you think about Antichrist? Let us know in the comment section below. Other suggestions, I guess.
We've already got the rest of the horror movie month mapped out.
And we got most of November, but we're still...
Yeah. But we always want more suggestions, so if we don't get to it, like, if you throw horror movie suggestions, they're not going to happen this month. They'll just be down the line, or perhaps another horror movie month that we'll do. So, just want to let you know that we actually have a bunch scheduled in the next few.
I think we got
few weeks.
until the end of November scheduled. We got a lot of cool things. We got a lot of cool things though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool movies we're doing. Next week though, I don't want to say what it is, but
It's gonna be a surprise this time.
yeah, we're gonna do. I think we're going to the slasher territory on this.
Are we?
Yes. So we went, classic kind of 40s horror to art house to pseudo slasher movie,
Yeah.
and then the other two are totally different movies as well.
Yeah.
And November we got a lot of cool things going on. There might be some Bergman. Spoiler: there might be a little Bergman in there because it's 100 years of Bergman in November. So we might throw some in there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't made final decisions on that. So, if you have a Bergman movie, make a suggestion right now.
One
Soon.
that we haven't already done.
Yeah, obviously.
We've done 2.
Yes.
So
We're not going to tell you which two because you can just watch all the videos. That's how you draw them in, Joe. That's how you draw them in. Anyway, so like and subscribe, do all that stuff. And so until next time, I'm Wade.
And I'm Joe.
And we will see you later.